Hello, ineffable being. How are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful, magical day. I want to tell you that you are a genius. You are special. You mean the world, and you are loved. Today, we're going to just kind of continue yesterday's topic called This Is It. So my last topic is called This Is It, and I shared why I believe living through the heart is the greatest gift that humanity has. So now I want to give you a little bit more information. My last video was really just me ranting and very passionate about why I am so passionate about living through the heart. And this, again, I want to just kind of piggyback on that, but give you a little bit more science, more detail as to what living through the heart is, so you can understand and you can make a more intelligent decision if you want to find another mentor, if you want to get on my masterclass where I discuss this, and so forth and so on. And simply, if this information resonates with you. Okay, so living through the heart, right? So you have a brain and you also have a heart that has twice as much connections as the brain and electromagnetically 60 times more powerful. Okay, the heart sends 2 times more instructions to the brain than the brain to it. The heart was the first organ to be birthed. Okay, from the heart came everything else. So one question I want to ask you: if you have to run a race, okay, you have to run a vehicle race, and you have 2 options. Okay, this is the way I look at it. You have 2 options. Okay, you know your end goal is to win the race, and the end goal for life is, well, everybody just create the life that you want. Okay, and you have 2 options, instruments to win this race. You have a Honda Accord stock and a Bugatti Veyron stock. What are you going to use which instrument are you going to use to accomplish to win the race? I think surely you're going to use the Bugatti Veyron, are you not? Not because it's a Bugatti, not because of the name, because it looks cool, simply because scientifically, logically, we understand that it is a faster, more powerful vehicle instrument. Okay, living through the heart is using you thinking through your heart, using your heart, which is again a instrument similar to the Bugatti Veyron in this comparison to the brain being the Honda Accord. So you could do anything, right? You can use your intelligence, your consciousness to think of the future worst case scenario. So, or you can use it to not. You can, plan and make the vision of the future, the life you want. So, in this channel, I discuss living through the heart to create an elevated emotion, cultivating an elevated emotion. By the very words I just said, you should understand that living through the heart means creating pleasantness. You're creating emotions that feel good. You feel good. That is what living through the heart for me means, okay? Simply put, that's what it is. Affecting your biochemistry consciously. What is he talking about? Biochemistry? What are we talking about here? If you're happy, your chemistry is going to look in a certain way. When you're feeling anxiety or fear or depression, your chemistry is going to look in a different way versus whenever you're, again, feeling love, empathy, gratitude, etc. Each of these terms, nouns, they have a different chemistry associated. So, okay, let's boil it down. So I'm using an instrument to create something, and that is an emotion. That is what living through the heart for me means. But what does that mean for you? Like what's the practical use of this? Well, you're gonna go and get the life that you want because you feel good. The reason you don't talk to the girl or present your pitch to the boss or apply to attend jobs is because your energy, because you don't feel good. Those are chemical signals that your brain receives, and it's going to give you electrical signals that you're going to hear, and we call those thoughts. So you don't really know how you feel, because the truth of the matter is, if you're not living through the heart, you're not using your consciousness, you're not using your intelligence, then your external environment is affecting and creating your personality. Why? Because every situation with every person, everything, every place it creates a neurological network in your brain. So we can clearly say that if you're not waking up to a vision of the future, using your consciousness, your intelligence, your environment, your personality is being created by your external environment, because unconsciously, again, every situation with every person, with everything, every place creates a neurological network in your brain. So the moment we understand this and we start living through the heart, well, now I'm affecting my biochemistry. So, I'm sending the signal of whatever emotion, whatever your creation is, you are constantly sending this through your body, and your brain's going to pick it up, and it's going to go outside your toroidal field and come back in. But it's not just you. You walk into an office, you walk into your work or your family's house or wherever you go, you take yourself, your presence, your energy there. But now your energy, yes, it's not like you're never going to be influenced by your external world. But to what degree? Because whenever you're living through the heart, the world has to impact you to a degree. But it's much different, the impact, when you're not creating an elevated emotion through the heart. Because creating an elevated emotion through the heart is like a wall. It's like an energy field. It's like a shield, right? You get fired, sure. This situation, this experience, your brain sees this, all these things, your boss talking and you get fired. Your brain records you having to take all your stuff out of your desk, but guess what? Those impulses, the neocortex receives from the thalamus has to also be incorporated into your body. But you emotionally are carrying yourself here. You're creating this elevated emotion, so those thoughts aren't just black and white as if they would be if you wouldn't be living through the heart. So to live through the heart literally means float like a beetle and sting like a bee. You are powerful. You have more energy to do the things that you want to do, and your thoughts start to change. Once your emotions change, once your energy changes, your brain starts to change. Once your thoughts change, your decisions change. When you make different decisions, you make different actions. When you make different actions, you're going to create different outcomes in your world, and that is the beautiful. That's the circle of life, and that is what you're going to start creating. That is the circle of life. So now let me tell you quickly a couple other things, right? So we're going to talk about epigenetics. We're going to talk about the placebo effect. There's those two things. I'm not going to get into it too much with you, because if you want more information, if you're interested, if this resonates with you, you're like, I don't understand it at all what this guy is talking about, but I see his light, his energy, and logically, I understand it. Like, instrument, use it this way, equals this. I understand it logically. Well, let me go listen to him. I have a free masterclass every Saturday discussing the mystical side and the scientific side. And from that masterclass, I'm just going to share two small points that are actually very powerful. So epigenetics, okay? Epi means above the genes. And before getting into it further, I want to say that my study, I build a lot of my content, a lot of my study from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Okay, so epigenetics. Epi means above the gene. Many years ago, when the DNA helix was discovered by Watson and Crick, we said the blueprints of life, all diseases are created from genes. But it turns out, less than 5%, more like 1% of the people on the planet are born with a genetic condition like type 1 diabetes, sickle cell anemia, Tay-Sachs disease, and so forth and so on. So then we said, well, hold on, that's not the whole truth. So we started seeing it's the environment that signals the gene that creates disease. So we looked at it and we said, well, maybe that's not the whole truth either, because you can have two people working side by side in the same factory. One gets cancer after being exposed to a carcinogenic for 25 years. The other has no cancer at all. So what is the reference behind this? So if the environment signals the gene, and it does, the question is, can you, by creating an elevated emotion, create a different genetic expression? The answer is absolutely yes. If you don't believe me, well, just let's judge you for yourself. Let's be honest, right? So think about your thoughts, right? It's a scientific fact that the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease. Long-term effects. So we can say with Me right here, in the present moment, I can think of the future worst case scenario. That's me using my higher faculty. That's me using my neocortex. So I'm thinking about stress. I'm thinking about problems or survival related things, right? Paying my rent, etc. Those thoughts that I'm consciously creating because of my neocortex and the size of it, guess what? It's going to signal the limbic brain. The limbic brain is going to release all these emotions associated, aka reflecting those thoughts. Similarly, you can be very honest, and I know this has to resonate with you. We have memories of the past that are affecting us, and our thoughts of the future are affecting us. Like another mentor of mine says, Sadhguru, what you suffer is not your life. What you suffer is an extraordinary sense of imagination and a vivid memory. So he goes on to say that human beings don't suffer their world, their life. What they suffer is their past, something that happened 10 and 15 years ago, and the future. So, how does this all connect to living through the heart and the epigenetics? Well, it's clear that the environment signals the gene, and it does. So, by creating an elevated emotion, can I change my genetic expression? Yes, Dr. Joe Dispenza has done sufficient investigation with this, testing over 7,500 different gene expressions, showing people how to create this elevated emotion that I also share on my masterclass for free. And, they go through the practice, right? Meditation, 5 out of 7 days for 60 days. And just in 4 days, it's marvelous. Just in 4 days of a walking meditation, a seating meditation, a laying down meditation, a breathing meditation, just after 4 days, we see the upregulation of genes. So downregulating would be when we have stress and impacts in our life that our genetic condition, our genetic expression is lessened. Not the proteins that these genes are making are not that powerful. So on the other side, we start upregulating. That means the genes are creating proteins that are more pro-life, that are more powerful. We're going to be more intelligent, better immune system, and so forth and so on. So we see the genes of oxidative stress being upregulated. We see the genes for neurogenesis, the growth of new neurons in response to novel experience learning being upregulated. We see the genes for stem cells being upregulated. Stem cells go to damaged areas in the body and repair them. And we also see the telomeres. Telomeres are the little shoestrings on the end of our DNA that tell us our biological age. So 74% of the people lengthen their telomeres. 40% significant change. 20% incredible change. So this means if your telomeres lengthened by 10%, you got 10% of your life back. So we loop it back to, let me digress. Can your emotional state create better genetic expressions? Yes. And if you don't believe me, then let me just end here with the placebo effect, okay? So I'm sure we've heard about it. I'm sure there's books, movies, a whole bunch of things. Well, did you know that the FDA every drug has to be tested against the placebo effect? So we have double-blind investigations and triple-blind investigations. So if you're not familiar with the placebo effect, we have X problem, okay? Depression, Parkinson's, there's so many issues that the human race has, right? So we have a problem. So we build this drug, and this drug, we get 100 people, and we're going to test this drug. 50% of these people are going to be under the placebo effect. So they're going to come in the doctor's office. The doctor's going to be like, here's this newest drug. It's amazing. It's powerful. We're so confident. Person's receiving all these emotion, energy, their brain, their neocortex, their thalamus is firing off the limbic brain. They be like, wow, this guy really is passionate. So they start taking this pill, right? 60 to 70%, 50 to 70, but mostly the average is 60% of the people in every placebo effect are cured, see results that are by the grace of God, really. And on the other side, so that was 50 people. Now the other 50 people take the actual drug, okay? So 50% of the people take the actual drug. There's chemicals and so forth. The other half of the people take a sugar pill, a saline injection. In essence, they take no drugs, no chemicals. They believe it, but they don't know what it is. They believe it. It has a number, it has letters, and they think it's the actual drug. And guess what? The results is, I love to talk about Parkinson's. Parkinson's is when you have a lot of, shakes and tumbles and stuff like that. Okay, so Parkinson's disease. Well, the root issue here is because in the brain, there's not, the dopamine receptors are not receiving that or being able to create that dopamine. So this creates incoherence. This creates imbalance in the brain. So then now we call it Parkinson's. Okay. So how do we test the placebo effect? Well, we give people, they saline injection, they're going through the treatment, and just remember, Parkinson's, the cause is because those receptors of dopamine are not receiving the required amounts of dopamine. So how do we test this? Well, after a couple weeks of the placebo effect, we inject the person with a dye, a fluorescent dye that could be seen through equipment like EEG and so forth and so on. So we send this dye, this fluorescent dye, and if we see it in the brain, that means the placebo effect did not work. Because if the placebo effect did work, then the result would be that those receptors of dopamine will be filled, right? It's like a socket. You have a lamp, you have to plug it in, right? So if the receptors are full, the dye does not go to the brain. And this is how we can test Parkinson's. So what are we saying? Why is this so important? And it's just so sad. Like, we've heard about the placebo, nobody cares about it. We don't care about epigenetics because I guess it's just, it's just health, and we just don't really care, right? We rather Netflix and chill, Louis Vuittons, so forth and so on. But placebo effect, to end it here, it's clear to say if 60 to 70% of the people are having results, no more depression, no more Parkinson's, or these problems in their lives are lessened dramatically and drastically, what is the situation? What is this telling us? What is the world telling us? Well, if I'm not taking a drug, that means that the chemistry, the factory, the chemical factory in my body exists. So that is why living through the heart is so fundamental. And you know what? I'm going to add an extra little gift for you. And this is in terms of manifesting, right? Because sure, you don't care about the placebo, you don't care about the epigenetics, but I am passionate about living through the heart, and we have to get in a different conscious state to fix racism, to fix poverty and all these systems. This is the only way that we're going to create change. So I'll give you an extra gift, right? Beyond health. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about finance. So let's remember what living through the heart is. It's using your intelligence consciously to create an elevated emotion. That's your creation. Love, happiness. You determine that, right? Okay. So what is the end result of car? You receive a car. What is the end result of that situation? You receive a promotion, a raise. You have the house of your dreams now. You have the partner of your dreams. What does this happen? Like fundamentally, what happens actually? Well, the end result of every experience in our lives is an emotion. So Luis uses his intelligence to create an elevated emotion. So we can say that, okay, I'm upregulating my genes, and I'm in effect with the placebo effect, and yeah. But whenever I receive $1 million, that's gonna make me happy. Whenever I receive X, it's gonna make me happy. Well, the law of attraction, the secret to the law of attraction is creating the experience ahead, creating the emotion ahead of the actual experience. Why is this a secret? Because look, you can say, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich all your life, but if you don't feel good, you're never going to receive that money. I used to do this. I used to repeat to myself, I love myself. I love myself. Why? Because I was not happy. I was secretly depressed. I was in turmoil. I didn't know up from down. And I was a disaster. I was trying to use my neocortex so my limbic brain can fire this off. Well, there's a shortcut, and it's called living through the heart. It's called using a more powerful instrument, and that is the law of attraction. The law of attraction is cultivating the emotion of the experience that you want. Why? Because now you're a reflection. Now you are a reflection to the experience you want. And the possibility of you getting that, receiving the experience that you want, is a lot closer, because logically, You're sending that signal of happiness, of power, of love every second of the day. So the experience is more quickly going to come to you. And that is why I say cultivate an elevated emotion. I hope you've enjoyed this, and this is how you can understand what it means to live through the heart. Please share this powerful video and watch last episode. Last episode was a lot of power, a lot of passion. So go watch that video. Share both of these on your social media accounts, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. And also put down in the comments what topics would you like for me to discuss in the future. And don't forget to join this month's free masterclass over how to live through the heart. I hope to see you in the side of light. Goodbye.